Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So, according to a court filing yesterday, prosecutors from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office seem to be indicating that President Donald Trump and his businesses could be facing an investigation related to tax crimes, in addition to the bank and insurance fraud crimes that they've previously mentioned. So this filing is the latest move by New York prosecutors in what's just been an ongoing battle for months or even years to try to secure 8 years of Trump's tax returns and financial records that are being held by his financial institutions and accountants that have worked with him or his businesses. The two parties have just gone really round and round in court, with the case kind of pinballing from one court to the next. And each time Trump has pretty much lost, but it has allowed him to postpone having to hand over financial records and possibly having criminal charges levied against him. And as you may recall, last month, I believe it was, or it may have been at the beginning of this month, a judge reviewed this matter, and they stated that the DA's office needed to provide a rationale for such a sweeping and broad request for Trump's information. His attorneys, of course, were arguing that it was just too broad of a request. And so the judge kind of agreed with him and said, okay, yeah, you've got to come back with something that sounds logical and reasonable as to why you need all of this. So in this latest filing, and in an answer to that judge's ruling, the DA's office said that lies to business partners, lenders, and tax authorities would be enough for their office to investigate Trump for criminal activity. And the filing included the following text: even if the grand jury were testing the truth of public allegations alone, such reports taken together fully justify the scope of the grand jury subpoena at issue in this case. In particular, public reports have alleged that Trump Organization executives used fraudulent financial statements as part of long-standing practices of overstating assets sent to potential business partners and lenders and minimizing assets in tax returns. So that's what it really boils down to, is that, based on Michael Cohen's testimony and other public reporting, it is alleged that Trump, when it made sense, would either increase the value of his assets or he would reduce them, depending on whether he wanted to get a lender to lend him more money, so in which case he increased and puffed up the value of his assets. And then when he didn't want to have to pay as much in taxes, he would reduce and minimize the value of his assets. But, you can't have it both ways. The value is the value. So the DA's office also argued that their subpoena was actually quite restrained. They said, considering the temporal scope of misconduct alleged in public reports. They also cited press reports that detailed multiple instances of Trump using less than honest practices to get out of paying his fair share of taxes. The filing states, the New York Times reported that appellant engaged in dubious tax schemes during the 1990s, including instances of outright fraud, and that he helped his parents dodge taxes by setting up a sham corporation to disguise millions of dollars in gifts and undervaluing assets. So this has been going on a long time. Unfortunately, we do have statutes of limitations in this country, which allows a lot of people to get away with their illegal activity. Prosecutors and Trump's attorneys, though, are scheduled to be in court this Friday to make their oral arguments in regard to this matter. And this is a so-called billionaire who lies, cheats, and steals so he won't have to pay taxes. Think about that. It's bizarre. If you have money, why is it that you can't pay your fair share of taxes? It's not like he's destitute, or maybe he is. And maybe that's that's the biggest scam he's pulled, is getting people to believe that he actually has money. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to pay anything. And, because the way our tax system is rigged to benefit the wealthy, he got away with it. He's gotten away with it for decades. You may recall that I reported a couple months ago on a story that broke about how the IRS is less likely to audit wealthy people in the US because it's too time-consuming and costly. Seriously? So people like Trump get to exploit loopholes or commit downright fraud, and they get away with it because the IRS is too lazy to put in the time to go after them. But average Americans, honest Americans, get a boot on their throat. We get fleeced for every penny because there's not as many loopholes for us, or there's no loopholes for us. But then the government claims, oh, there's not enough money. Oh, we can't pay for Medicare for all. We can't give the American people health insurance during a global pandemic. We don't have money to improve our infrastructure. We can't afford to repair our cracked roads, our fragile, failing bridges, our crumbling buildings. No, we don't have the money for that. They cry broke. Then they want to take away Social Security and Medicare benefits from the elderly, things that we all have paid into our entire lives. But this is why there's not enough money. I mean, first of all, it's because they use our tax dollars on ridiculous, unnecessary things. But there's also not enough money because of BS like this. It's because you have greedy, selfish SOBs like Trump who feel that they're entitled to not have to pay, that they're above paying their fair share of taxes. And lawmakers, many of whom are also wealthy and benefit from this rigged system, they just agree and they allow it to continue. And then they, like I said, they use our tax dollars on ridiculous things like endless wars, bloated salaries, unnecessary employees, $30,000 desks, tons of wasteful spending. But of course, they always have the money to bail out Wall Street. They can always bail out Wall Street and the banks, but never the American people. Never the 99% who are expected to pay every single dime we owe in taxes. But people like Trump, who literally have gold freaking toilets, they can get away with this stuff for decades. It really is sickening. And he's a criminal. So, yeah, law and order my ass. But anyway, guys, as always, like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.